Greetings, friends. Having my early morning pipe this morning. See, it's my Fifth Avenue. I think it's called the Colonel. And in it this morning, I've got some Samuel Gawith Christmas mixture sent to me by Ben, Snuff Begins, over in England. So, thank you, Ben. I like it, but it's got a kind of different taste to it. I'm not quite sure. I can't put my finger on it. And I'm definitely feeling the nicotine a little bit from this. Maybe a little stronger than most blends I'm used to. Also, possibly because I haven't eaten anything. As you can see behind me, it's still dark out. I woke up real early this morning. I got up at like 4:30 in the morning. Just woke up wide awake. And I can't lay there in bed. When I wake up like that, I've got to get up. And came down and made a pot of coffee, and I'm having a pipe. I've been watching a few videos, and a couple people have started responding to the Woodwose, Chris, his 75 sub contest. Congrats on the subs, Chris. As Pipe Pappy said, I just watched his video. You'll have many more shortly. They just seem to keep rolling in. But not a simple VR response, I can tell you that. I think most people are going to give it some thought. Some will respond, maybe others won't. But I wanted to for sure. And you want to know what our view of the world is? You know, how we view the world through our eyes, maybe how our life has influenced our decisions. I grew up as a preacher's kid. My dad was a minister in the United Church of Christ faith, and as a preacher's kid, you go to church and Sunday school every Sunday. So I grew up in that, and unfortunately, my dad died when I was 17 years old. And I feel like I never really got to know the man. I knew him as my dad. And as I got older, you know, it was, Dad, can I borrow the car? Dad, do you have $10? But I never once ever asked him, why did you become a minister? What drew you to that occupation? And never really had a chance to discuss his philosophical views on life. Now, fortunately, there are some writings that he's left behind that I've been fortunate enough to read, so I do have some insight into his beliefs. But after he passed, I stopped going to church. And throughout my life, I think I've been on a search for, you know, what gives meaning to life, what gives meaning to my life. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology that I completed at Seattle University in Seattle, Washington. And my college education took 14 years, 7 different schools. I would take a few classes that I could afford, and then I would stop and take a few more classes. And in my mid-20s, I got an AA degree, that's an Associate of Arts degree in Recreation Administration, and I worked on college campuses for quite a few years in the intramural sports departments. And when you work on a college campus, you can take classes at a reduced rate. And that's how I ended up finishing my degree at Seattle University. I worked there as the intramural director from 1980 to 1983, and was able to finish a degree in psychology. And what spurred my interest was, at that time, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross had a book that had been out for a couple of years called The Psychology of Death and Dying. And I think when you've had a personal experience of death, especially at a young age, it's something that stays with you. And through some coursework that I took, I was able to come to terms with the loss of my dad. In fact, I had actually a very profound experience. I'm not going to go into all the details of that here, but my search pretty much led me to the Buddhist philosophy. Now, I'm not a practicing Buddhist. I have on occasion meditated. I've read quite a bit. But the thing that I like about Buddhism is Buddha isn't a god. Buddha is not somebody you worship. Buddha is a guy, happened to be a prince, who achieved what he called enlightenment through his own self-reflection and contemplation. And each of us in that philosophy is a Buddha. We all have that potential to achieve enlightenment if that's what we desire. So rather than worship an all omnipotent being, that doesn't resonate for me. I know that's going to maybe alienate me from some people, but it just seems to me that throughout history there have been a lot of wars and a lot of pain and anguish over, my God's the real God, and your God's the false God, and my way's the only way, and I just can't get into all that. And I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry. I don't know why I'm apologizing. It's just not my belief. If I had to narrow down my paradigm, I think in every great religion, every great philosophical teaching, there's a common thread. It's called the Golden Rule. We all know it, grew up with it as kids. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. I try to live by that philosophy. I don't always succeed. Sometimes I can be petty. Sometimes I can be selfish. But I try to take people as they come. I've always said, going back to when I was a teenager, you could put me in a bus stop, a train station, an airport, on a park bench, and if somebody sat down beside me, a homeless guy, a wino, a CEO, a college professor, I could have a conversation with that person. I could talk to them, listen to them, hear their story, and relate to them as another human being. And I think it's a gift. It's like hitting a baseball. I try to tell my son all the time, not everybody can hit a baseball. Not everybody can play a guitar. Not everybody can paint. Not everybody has the ability to relate to other human beings. I don't know if it was through my growing up with my dad. I don't know if it's genetic, but I just have a gift that I can relate to almost anyone I meet and find something in that person that I like or that appeals to me, and I can form a connection and can form a bond. And so that's pretty much it, Chris. I try to live by the Golden Rule. I try to be loving and accepting of other people. And I'll be 64 in May, and I'll have to say it's served me rather well throughout my life. So appreciate the contest. Congrats on the subs. Till we meet again, happy trails.